the iHumanities Summer School. And this event is connected really to the autumn school that we ran last year at St. Berchmans College. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a moment. That event, though, was so successful that we decided to have one this year hosted by University of Wales, Trinity St. David, coming from the Lampeter campus. And it also connects to the launch of our suite of iHumanities programs. And I'll post the link so you can have a look at that in your own time, post that into the chat room. Our iHumanities programs at Lampeter are distance learning programs. And we thought we would run the summer school in collaboration with the launch of those programs. But this will be a fantastic event, this summer school, and maybe I'll just say a little bit about how we came to collaborate, Nithin Varghese and I, in this summer school. And Associate Professor Nithin Varghese last year ran a similar school based at St. Bertram's College, Kerala in India, and it had over 400 participants. It was very successful. And Nithin and I decided to then collaborate with regards to this summer school. So welcome everyone, and thank you very much for your interest and for registering. We decided to combine literary criticism, English and philosophy because these disciplines overlap a lot, and often that overlap gets forgotten about. And this is partly because in the past, and sometimes philosophers write about this today, critical theory has for some time had an uneasy relationship with philosophy. But I think there are good reasons why philosophers and critical theorists can work together to learn what each other can offer. And I'll just give you a quote from Andrew Escobedo to highlight this. And he says that each supplies the deficits of the other. We literary critics tend to focus on work by rich association, whereas philosophers work by painstaking analysis. And critics strive for resonance, philosophers for lucidity. We're usually lumpers, they're usually splitters. We both believe in intellectual rigor, but for us, that often means asking if one has added enough examples and analogues, whereas for them, it often means asking if one has subtracted enough irrelevant examples. Given how much we have to offer each other, we certainly can and should be friends. And so it was from this philosophy, really, that the subjects, if you like, discussed in last year's autumn school and this year's summer school came forth. So the summer school this year will be focusing on issues to do with equality, marginalisation, environmental degradation, human-animal relations, and also issues coming out of postmodernism. So just a few instructions now. Nithin Varghese will be giving the first talk, and I'll introduce him in a moment. But you will be automatically muted, and you won't be able to unmute your microphones because there's quite a few people here. So just for noise, to minimize noise, we've had to do that. If you have any questions for the speakers, this applies today, but for the other lectures as well, you can post them to the chat box via Zoom during the comfort break. Okay, so after the talk will be roughly an hour, and then you'll have a 15-minute comfort break from 4 p.m. to 4:15 p.m. UK time, in which you can post your questions to the chat. I will collate the questions, and then one of our students will be reading out those questions when we return from the chat, but I'll make the organisation and the structure of the programme for today clear as we go along. Okay. So I'll now introduce Nithin Varghese from Birchman's College, who will just say a little bit about the background to this event and to the previous autumn school. So Nithin.
Yeah. Hello all. Good afternoon and good evening to all those who are virtually connected. We are delighted to welcome everyone to this month-long academic activity. The iHumanities College Summer School of Literary Theory and Philosophy 2021 is a joint initiative between two institutes in the field of research and higher education, University of Wales, Trinity St. David, which is celebrating its bicentenary, and St. Berchmans College, Kerala, that is celebrating its centenary. I'm grateful for the assistance and guidance I received from my own professor and our common friend, whom we affectionately call Christopher Norris, Professor Emeritus, Cardiff University. Actually, he is a most important factor for this collaboration. Last year, we featured the lectures of David Lyon, Christopher Norris, John Trakakis, Scott Slovic, Kathy Carruth, and Will Ashcroft under the banner of Autumn School. And this year, we invited distinguished scholars in each field for lectures and interaction. Our efforts and enthusiasm, as well as Chris Norris's guidance and support, aided us greatly in developing and executing the program of this nature. Also, I would like to thank the University of Wales and St. Berchmans administrations for their assistance in carrying out this program. And the large number of people who have signed up for this program gives us the hope that we will be able to continue this academic activity next year. So now we have 231 participants, and last year also we had 300 participants. So thanks for the support that we receive from you, the participants. So we hope that we will continue this academic activity in the next year as well. I hope that this academic activity will be recognized in the same way that the critical theory in Berlin or London critical theory summer school and the School of Criticism and the Theory Brunel University have. So I wish all a happy learning experience and all the best to the organizing team. Thank you. Over to Rebecca.
Thank you, Nithin. So without further ado, I will now introduce our first speaker, our very own Associate Professor Nithin Varghese. Nithin is an Assistant Professor of English at St. Berchmans College, Changanacheri. His areas of interest are Middle English literature, literary theory, and Indian aesthetics. He has many scholarly articles published in national and international journals. He is the University Grants Commissioner at the Inter-University Centre for Humanities and Social Sciences and an associate at the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla in India. And the title of his talk is Rasa and Vani in Indian Poetics, Some Reflections. Thank you, Nithin.
Well, Rebecca, thank you for this opportunity and your kind words of introduction. I believe that this is an excellent academic opportunity to introduce the world of Indian poetics to a global audience. And I'm confident that some of the participants will read more about the topics covered in this summer school. So let me share my presentation. Yes. Rasa and Dhwani in Indian Poetics, Some Reflections. So this is my topic. So I'll concentrate on two major schools in Indian poetics, Rasa and Dhwani. Yeah. So this slide draws your attention to the key concept of aesthetics. To put it simply, aesthetics is the philosophy of beauty and art. It is the philosophy of sensuous aspects of experience. So if you look at the etymology of the word aesthetics, we can see that the word the word derives from the ancient Greek word aesthesis, which stands for sense perception. In the Western tradition of philosophy, aesthetics began around 4th century BC with Plato and Aristotle. However, the history of this word's usage goes back to the German philosopher Alexander Baumgarten, who began using the word in a philosophical context in 1735. So, in the same year, in 1735, he used the term for the first time in his reflections on certain matters relating to poetry. And in that text, aesthetics refers to, or aesthetics, that word stands for a systemic attempt at a metaphysics or psychology of art. Then in 1750, Beaumartin again published another text called the Aesthetica, which is an unfinished treatise, and where we can see that he used the term aesthetics as the title for that book. So aesthetics, in simple terms, is the philosophy of beauty and art. Yes, let us now turn our attention to Indian poetics. So, in this session, I address three specific concerns. Number one, what is Indian poetics? What is its history? Number two, which are the major schools of thought in Indian poetics? And number three is what is known as Indian poetics. So, when we say Indian poetics, we mean Sanskrit poetics. And Sanskrit poetics, like Aristotle's poetics, was primarily concerned with drama. It consists of extensive body of writings on poetry and drama. So the history of Indian poetics, it begins with Bharata's Natya Shastra. So we'll take up Natya Shastra later. So history of Indian poetics begins with Bharata's Natya Shastra, and it culminates in Jagannatha's Rasa Ganga Dhara, which is in 17th century AD. So thus the history of Indian poetics spans over 2000 years. 2000 years. So Bharata's Natya Shastra, it is somewhat around 200 BC to 200 AD. It is somewhere between that time. And the Rasa Ganga Dhara happened only in the 17th century AD. So from Natya Shastra to Rasa Ganga Dhara, we have 2000 years in between. So the history of Indian poetics begins with Natya Shastra and reaches its zenith, its climax in Jagannatha Pandita, Rasa Ganga Dhara in 17th century AD. Yeah. So the Sanskrit poetics, it has evolved with various schools of thought. So the 8 leading schools of Indian aesthetics are the Rasa school of Bharata, then the Dvani school of Anandavardhana, then the Alankara school of Vamaha, the Guna school of Dandi, then the Riti school of Vamana, the Vakroti school of Kundaka, the Aujitya school of Kshenendra, and the Anumana school of Mahima Bhatta. These are the 8 different schools of thought in Indian poetics, from Rasa to Anumana. Then, the third concern is what is aesthetics in Indian context? So, in Indian context, aesthetics is Saundarya Shastra. Saundarya means beauty, and Shastra is science. So, literally, Indian aesthetics means science of beauty, or Saundarya Shastra means science of beauty. Yes. So, this slide will give you some information about Natya Shastra. So, literary theory in India is as old as the country itself. And Bharata is regarded as the pioneer of all literary theories. So, his landmark work, Natya Shastra, which is written in Sanskrit, is a kind of encyclopedic work on drama, dance, and music. So one thing regarding Bharata, so there has been much debate about whether he is an individual or an acronym formed out of the first three syllables of Sanskrit words Bhava, Raga, Tala. Bha, Ra, Ta. Bha from Bhava, Ra from Raga, and Ta from Tala. So there is, I mean, some people believe that Bharata is a group of writers, and some people believe that some people believe that, or a group of people believe that he is a man, a single person. So these two traditions are there: one single author and a group of authors. So the title of this text, Natya Shastra, it is composed of two words, Natya and Shastra. And what is Natya? Natya means dramatic art, dancing. And the word comes from the root word nat, which means to act or present. And what is Shastra? So Shastra means rule. Shastra means manual. Shastra means science. And in the Indian context, Shastra is the sacred writing, or Shastra is the holy writing dedicated to a particular field of knowledge. So Natya Shastra, it is a combination of two Sanskrit words, Natya and Shastra. Natya and Shastra. Then, so the text, as I said, is a compilation of work by various sages, but the tradition assigns its authorship to sage Bharata. Thus, it is came to be called a Natya Shastra or Bharata Shastra. And regarding its the date of composition of Natya Shastra, it is unknown, but estimates range from 200 BC to 200 AD. And this text, I mean, its present form must have been reached sometime during this time, between 200 BC to 200 AD. And this is an encyclopedic work, consists of 37 chapters, deals with various topics that are necessary for the production and presentation of drama in front of an audience. Yes. So Natya Shastra is also called Natya Veda. This is the fifth Veda. Natya Shastra is the fifth Veda. We know that there are four Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. But Natya Shastra is known as the fifth Veda, the Pancha Veda, Natya Veda. So the first chapter of Natya Shastra, you can see that there is a semi-historical, mostly fictional account of the creation of Natya Shastra. So the story goes this way. At the end of Krita Yuga and at the onset of Treta Yuga, people on earth, they got addicted to base sentiments such as excessive desire, greed, jealousy, anger, and they found their state of happiness mixed with sorrow. So the Devas, with Indra leading them, approached Brahma. So Brahma is the deity of creation, and the Lord Indra, he requested Lord Brahma to create an audio-visual entertainment. This audio-visual entertainment, something that removes evil, which forms a source of knowledge, a source of entertainment, and a source of pleasure for both gods and men. And Lord Indra requested that this new creation, it must be accessible to all people, because Vedas are accessible only to high caste people. So Lord Indra, he requested that, or the lords requested that this new creation must be accessible to all people from all places. So what happened is that Lord Brahman, he took one element from each Veda. So he took lyrics from Rig Veda or Padya from Rig Veda. Then he took songs from Samaveda, Then Abhinaya, histrionic representation, language of justice from Yajurveda. And he took sentiments, rasa from Natya Veda, and he created the fifth Veda called Natya Shastra. Then after its creation, Lord Brahma, he asked Indran and other gods to practice Natya Veda. But gods, upon realizing that the intensity and the dedication required to practice the Natya Shastra, they declined from practicing this divine art. So Lord Brahman, he then called upon Bharata to practice this Natya Veda along with his 100 children. So this episode, it sets the context for the creation of Natya Shastra, but it should not be taken literally. This episode, it simply demonstrates that the creation of this treaty, Natya Shastra, was a result of combining various theatrical and artistic meaning. So this is the story regarding the origin of drama in Indian aesthetics. This is the fifth Veda, taking each element from each Veda. Natya Shastra, fifth Veda, Pancha Veda. Okay. Then, origins of Rasa. So, well, for the next 20 to 25 minutes, I will be concentrating on Rasa theory of Indian aesthetics. This slide talks about its beginning. There are references to the word Rasa in Vedas and Upanishad. So in Rig Veda, Rasa means essence. Rasa means flavor. And in Atharva Veda, the term used to mean the use of plants or relish of an experience. And in Taittiriya Upanishad, the word Rasa stands for quintessence of something or the essence of something. Thus, we can say that the roots of the word Rasa can be found in Vedas, in Rig Veda, in Yajurveda, in Atharva Veda, as well as in Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay. So we will start the theory of Rasa or aesthetic emotion with Bharata Muni's maxim, Vibhava Anubhava Vyabhichari Samyoga Rasa Nishpati. That is, the sentiment is produced as a result of the conjunction, the combination of determinants, consequence, and transitory states. Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichari, Samyoga, Rasa, Nishpatti. This is the maxim, this is the dictum, this is the equation of Rasa. Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichari, Samyoga, Rasa, Nishpatti. So before proceeding further, it is necessary to explain a few of the technical terms that are continually associated with any discussion of Rasa. So let's begin with bhavas. So bhavas, they mean states, or they are things existing and emotions, the mental states. So in the context of poetics, bhavas are the elements which make the essence of poetry that pervade the heart of the reader. That's why bhavas are called bhavanti, bring into being. Bring into being what? Bring into being the essence of poetry, that is rasa. And rasa is the end of the poem, or rasa is the meaning of the poem, or rasa is the kavyartha. So bhavas, they bring kavyartha. They bring into being rasa. And bhavas include 5 things: sthayi bhava, sattvika bhavas, vibhavas, anubhavas, and vyabhichari bhavas. Okay? Yeah. Then, what are these sthayi bhavas? So, sthayi bhavas are the permanent feelings. They are the fixed emotive patterns deeply embedded in human psyche. So, all human beings, they can experience these emotions in life because they remain embedded in our consciousness. And it is said that they are of the nature of our vasanas. They are the nature of our samskaras, because they left impressions in our mind by our actions and experiences. So it is integral to our life. So Bharata mentions 8 sthayi bhavas, or their sthayi bhavas are 8 in number. So let us have a look at the main 8 sthayi bhavas. They are Riti, Hasa, Shoka, Krodha, Ulsaha, Bhaya, Jugupsa, and Vismaya. And its English equivalents are love, laughter, sorrow, anger, enthusiasm, terror, disgust, and astonishment. So the fixed emotions or the permanent feelings. They are 8 in number. Bharata mentions only 8 sthayi bhavas in Natya Shastra. They are Riti, Hasa, Shoka, Krodha, Ulsaha, Bhaya, Jugupsa, and Vismaya. Then Sattvika Bhavas, second element, Sattvika Bhavas. So Sattva means the qualities of mind, or that is, Sattvas are the inner essence of mind. Sattva. So Sattvika Bhavas, they arise from Sattva. Sattvika Bhavas arise from Sattva. So we can say that they are the physical, involuntary, and spontaneous changes that we experience or the reader experiences as a result of experiencing emotions. For example, horripilation or change in voice or change of color. So these things the readers experience or a character experience, a person experience as a result of the dominant emotion. Yeah. So they are the physical, involuntary, spontaneous changes. And Bharata mentions 8 Sattvika Bhavas. They are Stambha, Sweta. They are Sanskrit terms, then I will go for the English equivalent. Stambha, Sweta, Romaja, Swarabhanga, Pepatta, Vaivarnya, Ashru, and Pralaya. Paralysis, perspiration, horripilation, change in voice, trembling, change of color, tears, and fainting. So these are the physical, involuntary, and spontaneous changes arise as a result of experiencing emotions. Yeah, this is an interesting slide in which you will learn about the various components, various ingredients of rasa, vibhava, anubhava, vyabhichari bhavas. Then the two notions, samyoga and rasa, nishma. So let us take the first one, vibhava. So vibhavas are the objective conditions producing an emotion. So or else we can say that they are the objective correlatives. And this term, vibhava, it is considered to be synonymous with cause. The Sanskrit term is hedu, karanam, karana. So vibhava is equal to hedu, cause. And this term vibhava can be translated as determinant because vibhavas determine the emotions and moods to be aroused in the reader or in the spectator, the audience. Determinants, something that determine the emotions and moods to be aroused. And the vibhavas are of two kinds, alambana vibhavas and uddipana vibhavas. Alambana vibhavas, they are the primary excitants or they are the essential excitants, which means the person or persons with reference to whom the emotion is manifested. And Uddipana vibhavas are the secondary excitants or they are the stimulating excitants. I mean, they are the circumstances that have excited the emotion. For example, so a man may feel attracted to a woman if the circumstances are cooperating with it. So the couple on the stage, they constitute the alambana vibhavas, the persons. Then the beautiful scenery. The moon peeping through the clouds or the fragrant breeze blowing, they constitute the uddipana vibhavas. For example, if you are familiar with the balcony scene of Romeo and Juliet, they are the alambana vibhavas, and the garden, the moonlit garden, that provides the uddipana vibhava. So one is primary and the other is secondary, the person and the circumstances. Then, next component is Anubhava, the consequent, the reactions to the determinants. So they are the bodily movements, or they are the bodily expression, the attitudes by which emotion is expressed. Or we can say that they are the reactions. For example, anger. So anger causes blood to rush into the face. So the agent, he may curse or he may strike the victim of his anger. So in a way we can say that anubhavas, they are the signs of emotions in characters, the bodily movements, facial expression, attitudes of the person. Then the third component is Vyabhichari bhavas. So Vyabhichari means a series of diverse emotions. Diverse emotions. So they are transient moods, they are transient mental states which accompany a dominant emotion. A dominant emotion. And these Vyabhicharis, they are weak, they are mild, they are temporary, and they are dependent. These are the four characteristics, features of Vyabhichari bhavas. Weak, mild, temporary, and dependent. That means they do not attain the intensity of emotions, they do not last long, they do not have any independent status. And actually, Bharata talks about 33 Vyabhichari bhavas. 33. So some of them are Nirveda, Glani. Nirveda means despondency, then Glani, weakness, Shanka, suspicion, then Asuya, envy, then Mada, intoxication, alasya, lethargy. So it goes like that way. So Bharata talks about 33 Vyabhichari bhavas in Natya Shastra. For example, yeah. So imagine this situation: a woman in love. So she is anxiously waiting to meet her lover. So she may feel disappointed that he is not coming. She may be anxious that something might have happened to him. She may be jealous that he might have been courted by some another woman and so on. So emotions of diverse sort, or these transient feelings, they may be passing in quick succession. And these transient feelings may all at the same time be continuing the constitution of the same emotion. That's why they are called the fleeting emotions. Sanchari bhavas, fleeting. Yeah. The next two terms, samyoga and rasa nishpati, they are crucial in the understanding of rasa. So samyoga, that term refers to the proper union, the organic fusion, the conjunction of different elements. So different elements are vibhavas, anubhavas, and Vyabhichari bhavas. The proper union, the organic fusion of vibhavas, anubhavas, and the Vyabhichari bhavas produce rasa. Rasa nishpatti, realization of rasa, or the manifestation of rasa. So nishpatti, rasa nishpatti, that is the process by which the various elements of natya interact, and the result is rasana, realization of rasa, manifestation of rasa. So the maxim is, the Rasa Sutra seems cryptic, but it speaks a lot. So Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichari, Samyoga, Rasa, Nishpatti. So we have seen what are Vibhavas, Anubhavas, Vyabhichari bhavas, and what does it mean by Samyoga and Rasa, Nishpatti. Yeah. So which are the rasas? So Bharata talks about 8 rasas in Natya Shastra. 8 rasas. So they are Sringara, Hasya, Karuna, Raudra, Veera, Bhayanaka, Bibalsa, and Albura. And the English equivalents are the erotic, the humorous, the pathetic, the furious, the heroic, the terrible, the odious, and the marvelous. These are the 8 rasas Bharata mentioned in Natya Shastra, or these are the 8 rasas in Natya Shastra. So out of these 8 rasas, Sringara, Veera, Raudra, and Bibhalsa, they are called basic rasas. Sringara, Veera, Raudra, and Bibhalsa, they are the basic rasas. And the other 4 rasas are derived from these four basic rasas. For example, Hasya is derived from Sringara, Albuda derived from Veera, Karuna derived from Raudra, and Bhayanaga derived from Bivalsa. So four major rasas, Sringara, Veera, Raudra, and Bivalsa. But Bharata talks about only 8 rasas in Natya Shastra. Yeah. So I hope you are familiar with these terms, Ashtarasas and Navarasas. They are Sanskrit terms. Ashtarasas and the Navarasanga. So ever since Bharata postulated his theory of rasa, the exact number of rasa has been a debated issue. So the more orthodox view has been that there are only 8 rasas, while another view proposes 9 rasas. So both these arguments, 8 and 9, they have found they will advocate for secularism. So the ninth disputed rasa is named the Shanta rasa, and Shanta means serenity, peace, and it develops from the permanent state in the Nirvana or Shama. And later Shandarasa is accepted by many of the writers. And the earliest writer now known to mention Shandarasa is Vilbhatta from Kashmir. Yeah. So for the next 10 minutes, I will quickly go through the Dwani school, the second one. So the propagator and the exponent of Dwani school was Anandavardhana, and his Dvanya Loka, his treaty Dvanya Loka with its commentary, the Lojana by Abhinavagupta, expounded the doctrine of Dwani. So Dwani is suggestion. Dwani means suggestion, and the word suggests itself in 5 ways. Number 1, the literal sound. Then number 2, the literal meaning. Number 3, the suggested meaning. Number 4, the suggestive power. And number 5, capable of suggesting rasa. These are the 5 meaning that the word Dwani suggests. So Dwani means suggestion, and the word associates with literal sound, literal meaning, suggested meaning, suggestive power, and capable of suggesting rasa. So Anandavardhana, his theory of Dwani states that poetry owes its superiority to indirect meaning or overtones. So therefore, Anandavardhana gives more importance to suggestive meanings rather than primary meanings. Yeah. So for him, for Anandavardhana, words are empowered with Vyanjana. So Vyanjana is the suggestive power. Then actually Vyanjana is the addition to words Abhida and Lakshana. So actually Abhida, Lakshana and Vyanjana, they are the 3 layered meanings of word. Vyanjana is the suggestive power, and Abhida is the primary meaning or the literal meaning of the word, and Lakshana is the indicative meaning. So words possess Abhida, Lakshana and Vyanjana. Vyanjana is the suggestive power. Yeah. So Anandavardhana, he takes up 3 main types of implicit senses. So according to him, we have Vastu Dwani, Alankara Dwani, and Rasa Dwani. Vastu Dwani means factual suggestion. Alankara Dwani is the imaginative suggestion, and Rasa Dwani is the emotional suggestiveness. So in Vastu Dwani or in Vastu Dwani, some facts, some ideas are implied. And in Alankara Dwani, some alankaras, figures of speech are suggested, but in Rasa Dwani, rasa is evoked. So both Vastu Dwani and Alankara Dwani, they can be expressed by direct meaning or suggestion, or by suggestion. Direct meaning, the Sanskrit term is Vachyartha, and the suggestion is Vinyartha. So Vastu Dwani and Alankara Dwani can be expressed by Vachyartha or Vengyartha, by direct meaning or by suggestion. But Rasa Dwani can never be expressed in direct meaning of words. So Rasa Dwani is only possible when highest artistic effect is made. And this effect, this highest artistic effect, is created by the fusion of reality, imagination, and emotion. And this man, Anandavardhana, he considers Dhwani as the soul of poetry. That means, in all good poetry, the literal meaning, I mean, the literal meaning of words have a subordinate position, and the suggested meanings have the main role to play. Again, the theory of suggestion, it also enables the critic to establish a hierarchy among various types of poetry. So, in the best poetry, the suggested meaning predominates, and such uh, texts are called Dwani Kavya. And when the suggested sense does not predominate, we have the inferior poetry, that is the Gunibhuda Vengya Kavya, the subordinate suggestion. Then the lowest kind of poetry is that which does not contain any suggested sense. It is called Chitra Kavya, pictorial poetry. So the idea is that Anandavardhana stresses the point that rasa can be realized only through the power of suggestion. In short, nothing in poetry, uh, nothing is poetry if it is not suggesting. So that is the idea that Anandavardhana puts forward. So I would like to conclude, I would like to end with these two arguments. Rasa is the vital part of Indian poetics. So this word rasa, it holds the key to all Sanskrit criticism. It sums up the imaginative experience. And Vani is the soul of poetry. Vani is, soul of poetry in the sense, it is a means of evoking rasa. So rasa and Vani, some people say that they are inseparable, the body and like body and soul. So Vani is a soul of poetry, and it is a means of evoking rasa. And rasa is the aesthetic uh, realization, or rasa is the essence, the sap, the substance. Yeah. Thank you.